Star Trek: The Next Generation, Starfleet Academy, number 13, A Haunted Starship, Chapter 3. Geordi and Hassan were standing together in front of the main console in Benjamin Franklin's small engineering room. "Look at these controls," Geordi marveled. "I never thought I'd see such modern equipment in this old a ship. These automatics are cutting-edge stuff." "It is all rather fine and fancy, is it not?" Hassan said, smiling. "I have seen this equipment only in simulations. It will be a pleasure to work with it." He tapped a rapid series of commands into his pad, which was linked into the main console. The impulse engines are warming up nicely. We'll be ready when the captain gives the word." Geordi took a moment to look around him. "How do you think they ever fit a chief engineer and a full crew in here back in the old days?" he asked Hassan. "There's hardly enough room for just us two." "It was not nearly as crowded then as you might think," the older cadet replied. "It must have been tight, yes, but there was a great deal less monitoring equipment installed in here originally. They did not have anything like the automatic systems we have today. Basically speaking, the ship will fly herself and take care of her own needs, with just a little bit of help from the two of us. We could never manage to perform the duties of an entire engineering staff, of course, even on a small ship such as this, not even if both of us worked all 3 watches every day." Geordi nodded. "I understand that, but I guess I was hoping for a little more of an engineering challenge during this trip." Hassan chuckled. "Oh, I have been fortunate enough to be taken along on missions that offer an intensive training in many Starship disciplines, including engineering. Such missions last for weeks, perhaps months, and they're led by Starfleet officers, not senior Academy cadets. No doubt you'll be offered a berth on one of those before very long. You'll find a great deal of challenge there, let me assure you." "I'm looking forward to it." "Of course," Hassan nodded. He glanced again at his pad and nodded with satisfaction. Everything was fine so far. "I was going to say that Ben is an excellent vessel for short-duration missions such as these," he continued. "Her top speed of Warp 2 was impressive when she was built almost 200 years ago, but it makes her impractical for long interstellar flights today. She can't be fitted with modern warp engines either, as her frame was not designed for the stress of high-speed travel. She's still useful, though, so we cadets get to use Ben for short-duration flights, for training purposes." "And the Academy doesn't want to assign a couple of hundred cadets to a long-term training mission," Geordi guessed. "So they load these old ships with automatic systems?" "Precisely," Hassan said, nodding. "These short missions are a good idea for another reason, too. They allow seniors to escape the Academy for a weekend. Starfleet knows that there is no one quite so restless as a senior who is approaching graduation. These missions put all that energy to good practical use. Have the warp core self-diagnostics finished running yet?" Geordi took a quick look at his own pad. "Almost done," he replied. "I understood we wouldn't be needing warp drive on this trip, though." Hassan pursed his lips. "True, but I think you can take it for granted that if Captain Sanchez desires to go to warp, he is going to want to do so at once. As we are staying well within the boundaries of the local star system, engaging the warp drive would be done only in case of an extreme emergency. Captain Sanchez is not going to want to wait for us to run the self-diagnostic routine then. Oh, no." Geordi nodded. "I see." "You must always be ready," Hassan went on. "Keeping everything on the ship running is only half the job, Geordi. The main job of a starship's chief engineer is to be as prepared as possible for anything that might happen. That's what a chief engineer's captain wants most of all. Give your captain that, and you will have a job for life." Hassan consulted his pad's display. "Everything's set," he said with satisfaction. "We're ready to go, with more than 2 minutes to spare." Hassan tapped his communicator. Engineering to Captain." "Sanchez here, Chief." "We are ready, sir." "Excellent, Hassan. Can you spare your assistant for a while?" Hassan glanced at Geordi. "I believe so, sir." "Good. LaForge, please report to the bridge. I think you should be on deck to observe our departure." Geordi grinned. "On my way, Captain." The bridge of the Benjamin Franklin was smaller in scale than those of more modern ships, but the 3 cadets on duty there hardly noticed. Sanchez was sitting in the command chair, trying to look confident and assured. Trennick and Siobhan were seated at the navigation console, located directly in front of Sanchez. There was so little extra room that Sanchez's knees were almost touching the backs of their chairs. "Look at how we're sitting, the 3 of us," said Siobhan. "I feel like I'm on an academy bobsledding team." "That's some mountain we've got here," Sanchez observed. "Communications, any word yet on our clearance?" "No, sir," replied Trennick. "Outgoing traffic is exceedingly heavy at the moment, but it's moving. Spacedock Control is not reporting any undue delays. However, as we are a training mission, we have been assigned a low priority for departure." "It's all this weekend traffic," Siobhan said, "and I hate rush hours." The turbolift doors to the bridge opened. "LaForge reporting as ordered, sir," Geordi announced with great formality. "Find a spot and stay there, Geordi," Sanchez said. "Enjoy the show." "Thank you, sir." Geordi found a place at the science officer's station. There was no longer a seat there, so he leaned back against the console, trying to stay out of everyone's way. The forward view of the bridge screen showed the interior of Spacedock. Hundreds of spacecraft, of all sorts large and small, dotted the interior surface of the huge orbiting structure. Every few seconds a ship crossed their field of view. Sometimes it was only a far-off point of light, but occasionally one could sail by closely enough for them to read the writing on her hull. "Beautiful," breathed Geordi. They watched as USS Independence drifted by on thrusters and suddenly swung about, positioning herself for departure. "Now there's a starship," Siobhan said enviously. "Ambassador class. What a sight." I would like to be on our way," Trennick said, "but we really do have a marvelous view of things here. I've never visited Spacedock before." "I have," Sanchez said. "I've been here often, even before I entered the academy. The first time was when I was almost 5 years old. My mom brought me and my kid sister up here to see off the Enterprise, the one they usually call Enterprise C. My dad had been assigned aboard. Starfleet invited the surviving personnel from the first Enterprise to the departure ceremony. And I got to meet some of them later at the reception. I remember there was this old doctor, real character. I'm sorry to interrupt, Trennick said, but Spacedock Control is clearing us for departure. Oh my. What is it? Sanchez asked. Control is generously giving us a 12-second window to be on our way. We're to follow Independence out the hatch and peel away immediately thereafter. USS Ohio will be seconds behind us. Stay out of the way of everybody else, kid, is the way the controller phrased it. He didn't sound very happy. Siobhan's hands were already flying over her navigation controls. Got it, Captain, she said briskly. I can eyeball the roll when the time comes. Laid in. All set. Awaiting your orders, sir. Sanchez took a breath. Stand by. Bridge to engineering. Here we go, gentlemen. Aye, sir, came Hassan's steady voice. Helm, cast off, Sanchez continued. Follow Independence out on thrusters. Maintain proper distance. Be ready to go to impulse as soon as we clear Spacedock. Aye, sir. Under pressure from her thrusters, Ben began floating gently away from her berth as Siobhan cut the tractor beams that had been holding her there. As Ben came about, the huge stern of the Independence suddenly filled the screen. They began following her closely. She looks just like my dad's ship did, Sanchez said softly. It's a good omen for us, Bernie, Siobhan told him. Yes it is, Sanchez replied. Put the aft view on screen, son, he added briskly. Let's take a look at the Ohio. Aft view on screen, sir. They watched as the Excelsior-class starship seemed to bear down on them. She's a big one, all right, Siobhan said. I'd hate to get bumped by a thing like that. I trust you'll make sure that won't happen, McKenna, Sanchez said. I'll do my best, sir, Siobhan returned dryly. Incoming message from Ohio, Captain, Trennick reported. They know we're busy. It's short. Take good care of her for me, Captain, and smooth sailing. Outstanding. Signed, Manning, class of 32, commanding Ohio. Any reply? Yes. Send will do, Captain. May the wind be at your backs. Signed, Sanchez, class of 54, commanding Benjamin Franklin. End message. Sanchez grinned. He suddenly felt 10 meters tall. Man, that made my day, he said. Return the view forward, please, San. We're approaching the gate, Captain, Siobhan reported. She consulted her board quickly. Once we've left Spacedock, we'll have a narrow clearance through traffic at 143 Mark 7. Fine. Lock that in and peel away at my signal. All concentration, Sanchez leaned forward in his chair as Ben followed Independence through Spacedock's main gate. Earth suddenly appeared below them, framing the larger starship in bright blue light. We're clear, sir, Siobhan said. Do it, Sanchez commanded, and Siobhan had Ben make a quick, neat roll onto her departure course. Geordi watched the screen as Ben slipped past dozens of ships of all sizes. Some of them seemed to come pretty close to Ben, perhaps a little too close. Geordi whistled softly as a big freighter lumbered out of their way just in time. When the 12 seconds were up, the forward view skewed sharply away from Earth and slowly righted itself again as Siobhan established Ben's outbound course to the belt. The main screen showed only stars before them. On course at 3/4 impulse, Captain, Siobhan reported. Everything nominal. Will arrive at our assigned sector in 23 minutes. Trennick gulped. Your remark about bobsledding was not entirely misplaced, Siobhan, she said. That was an interesting 12 seconds, to be sure. Time to get down to business, Sanchez announced. Captain Engineering? Engineering here, sir. If everything down there is secure, Hassan, I'd like you to relieve me on the bridge. Naya, Captain? Sir? Geordi began. May I ask a question? Sanchez swiveled in his seat to face Geordi. Go ahead. Captain, what's the significance of the word outstanding? It seems to have something to do with Ben, but I don't know what. Captain Manning used it in his message to you, and it's written under a picture of the ship in my quarters. Let's talk about that later, Sanchez said. We have other business right now. Feel like taking a close look at some rocks, LaForge? Yes, sir, Geordi replied. I certainly do. Good. Report to the suit-up room on deck 5. I'll be joining you there shortly. Aye, sir. Cadet San, you come along as well, Sanchez added. You're going to go outside with us. Yes, sir, Trennick said enthusiastically. Chapter 4. Sanchez, Geordi, and Trennick soared effortlessly around an asteroid, carefully threading their way through and around the gigantic crags in its sometimes jagged and always broken surface. The distance they kept from the surface of the flying mountain was a careful balance of their desire to inspect the asteroid closely and the need to proceed in safety. Benjamin Franklin sat in space just half a kilometer away, her white hull glowing brightly in raw sunlight. Wearing and using a spacesuit correctly and efficiently was second nature to Geordi, who'd first put one on at the age of 5. Geordi always felt a certain thrill in venturing through an airlock and going outside a ship with nothing between him and the raw vacuum of space but an air recycler and a few thin layers of spacesuit material. The canned air Geordi was breathing had a sharp, cold tang that his suit's heaters could not quite conquer. He liked it, though. The chill reminded him of the times he would go camping overnight on Earth with family or friends. They'd all wake up with the sun on a brisk autumn morning and sometimes would start a fire for breakfast. "Careful there, LaForge." It was Sanchez over the communicator link. "You're getting a little too close to the surface." "Yes, sir," Geordi replied, abashed. Quickly, he boosted the power to his personal thruster pack and increased his altitude over the asteroid by 10 meters. "Try not to get too bedazzled by all the wonder, LaForge," Sanchez cautioned. "What can you tell me so far about our asteroid here?" "Captain," Geordi began, "tricorder readings indicate—" "No, Geordi," Sanchez interrupted. "Forget the tricorder for now. Instruments are fine, but I want you to tell me what you see." "Oh." Geordi looked closely at the terrain as the three of them flew over it together. "I see a big jagged rock the size of a small mountain on Earth. There are hills and valleys, and I can even see shallow caves. My visor detects the color equivalents of mineral deposits, grays mostly. There's also some brown and a kind of muddy yellow. There's a lot of iron and nickel contained in this one." "That's right," Sanchez said. "What else do you see?" "It looks like someone's hit the asteroid over and over again with a gigantic sledgehammer," Geordi said. "There are places where huge amounts of material have been broken off the asteroid in collisions. Scars look like raw wounds. There are other places that look old, smooth, and worn." "That smoothness is caused by erosion," Sanchez said. "There's a lot of dust flying around in the belt, and an asteroid is always getting hit by it. Our spacesuits are built to withstand the dust, of course. Every so often, a cloud of dust will collide at high speed with an asteroid, and part of the asteroid gets sandblasted." "I see a crater," Trennick said suddenly. "A big one. There's melted rock all around it. It must have been caused by a collision." "Right," Sanchez said. "Collisions between asteroids can generate enormous amounts of heat, more than enough to melt rock. The asteroids involved might shatter into smaller ones, and their orbits can be changed significantly. Sometimes an asteroid is hurled right out of the belt, and it takes up a new orbit that brings it much closer to the sun. Those are the asteroids Starfleet keeps a careful eye on, because it's possible that one could collide with an inner planet, Mars, Earth, Venus, or Mercury." "Does this asteroid have a name?" Trennick asked. "No," Sanchez answered. "Like most asteroids, this one's never been cataloged, so it's never been assigned a number or a name." "You were at the helm, Trennick, so you spotted it first. By tradition, the discoverer gets the honor of naming the asteroid. It's all yours if you want it." He paused. "This rock's big enough to be worth a line in the catalog, that's for sure." "Thank you, sir," Trennick thought for a moment. "Malaika, then, for my mother." "Excellent. Now send the registration for this asteroid through our computer to Starfleet Records and get it confirmed. For now, though," from the belt on his suit, Sanchez took out what looked like a large pistol, aimed it at the asteroid, and fired it squarely into the surface. A small projectile burrowed into the rock. Sanchez drifted backward with the recoil, but he used his personal thruster pack to resume his position near the other two cadets. "How was that, LaForge?" he asked. Geordi looked at his tricorder. "Beacon functioning, sir. Orbital data coming in." Trennick spoke up. "Captain, Starfleet Records confirms this asteroid has been registered as 33-00002 Malaika." "We just missed a round number," Sanchez said. "Darn it. I'd snap my fingers if I could." "Captain?" Geordi broke in. "Tricorder readings indicated another smaller asteroid close by, but the bearing—" "Yes?" "It seems to be tracking us, sir. That's crazy. It must be a ghost reading." Geordi and Trennick heard Sanchez chuckle. "Oh, we found a good old rock here, all right. LaForge, take another look at those readings, with an eye to the data you've already recorded on Malaika here." Geordi said under his breath. "They seem to be virtually the same. Hey! Now this is interesting. Trennick, this asteroid of yours has a moon." "I'm reading it," Trennick confirmed. "The moon is about 1/100th the size of the big asteroid. It's in a nearly circular orbit around Maleka at a distance of about 65 kilometers. Maleka's moon is too small for us to see from here with the naked eye, but the tricorder picks it right up, once you know what to look for. Captain, I didn't know asteroids could have moons." "They're not uncommon," Sanchez said. "These little moons tend not to last very long, though. They get pulled out of orbit by other bigger asteroids, or they eventually collide with something and shatter. We're lucky to have found one." "Does Geordi get to name this moon, Captain?" Trennick asked. "After all, he's the one who found it." "I'm afraid not," Sanchez replied. "Asteroid moons don't get special names. They're cataloged under the names of the asteroids they orbit, and they're assigned a letter of the alphabet. Since the moon Geordi found is the only one Maleka has, it'll be called Maleka A. They do the same thing for moons orbiting planets, too. Big or small, moons are all the same to Starfleet." Suddenly, Trennick cried out, and then the other two cadets heard nothing but a rush of static over the communicator band. "Trennick! Trennick!" called Sanchez, looking around him. "Where is she? She's disappeared." "Wait a minute, Captain," Geordi said, pointing away from the asteroid. "There she is, heading out into open space at high speed. She's tumbling out of control. There's a large plume of gas coming from her air recycler. It's pushing her away from us like a little rocket. Can't you see it?" "No, I can't even spot Trennick. That visor of yours sure is handy. Ben, are you listening?" "Aye, sir. This is McKenna. We're tracking Trennick on sensors. She's still alive, but she's losing air fast." "Fine. Get a transporter lock on her, and Bernie, we can't get a lock. There's some sort of magnetic interference close by, probably from the metal in that asteroid you've been inspecting. If we try to beam Trennick aboard, we'll probably kill her. We'll have to chase her and pick her up. Hassan is heading for the suit-up room now." Geordi interrupted. "Begging your pardon, sir, but we can get to Trennick using our thruster packs faster than the ship can get underway. Trennick's losing air too quickly for us to wait." "I agree. Siobhan, we're going to pursue Trennick ourselves. Keep an eye on what we're doing and be in position to pick us up when we've got her. Understand?" "Aye, sir." "LaForge, you're the one who can see her. I presume you've figured out some sort of a course?" "Yes, sir," Geordi replied. "If we point ourselves in that direction and head out on full thrusters, we'll catch up with Trennick within a minute." "No time to waste. I'll follow you closely. Let's go." "Aye, sir." Carefully, both cadets positioned themselves with quick, brief bursts from their thruster packs. "On my mark, Captain," Geordi said. 3, 2, 1, mark! Geordi pulled back hard on the thruster unit hand grip and felt a kick in the small of his back as the unit fired up. Instantly, Geordi felt himself go from weightlessness to his normal weight and more as his acceleration increased. He looked ahead for Trennick, found her, and saw that the plume of air from her recycler was gone. "I think she's run out of air, Captain," Geordi said. She's passed out, Bernie," Siobhan reported. "Geordi's right about the air. Sensors say her air recycler is empty. Trennick's living off the air that's left in her suit, and there isn't much of that left." Almost without thinking, Geordi made short, swift motions with his hand grip control. He increased his speed even more, feeling himself grow even heavier, but he kept himself on course and on target. Geordi was flying by instinct. "Siobhan," Geordi called, "I want us to match Trennick's course and speed as closely as possible when we catch up with her. The captain and I need to know exactly when to fire our retros." "I'm way ahead of you, Geordi. It'll be rough. A 3G burst for 11 seconds. I'll give you the cue." "Standing by, Siobhan." "On my count, then. 3, 2, 1, fire!" Geordi pushed his hand grip control full forward, and his stomach did a flip-flop as the thruster unit quickly turned him end over end. The blast that followed made the first one seem like the kiss of a spring wind. Geordi felt as if 3 people his own size had suddenly jumped on top of him and were trying to push him through a floor that was as hard as stone. It became very difficult to breathe. The entire universe turned red and seemed full of haze, now that Geordi had turned over and was facing the way he'd come, he could see Sanchez again, very close by. True to his word, the senior cadet had kept right up with him. Throughout all this, Siobhan had been counting off the seconds. 8, 9, 10, 11, and shut down, she cried, and Geordi and Sanchez instantly cut their deceleration to 0. The two cadets looked around quickly. Trennick was floating in space near them, drifting slowly away at a distance of about 10 meters. They caught up to her in seconds. Sanchez got a good grip on the utility belt of Trennick's spacesuit, and, with quick blasts of his own thrusters, stopped her tumbling. With him holding on tight, she wouldn't drift away again. "We've got her, Siobhan," Sanchez called. "Is the transporter operational yet?" "Negative, Captain. However, I'll have Ben in position for pickup within 60 seconds. "Acknowledged." Through her faceplate, Sanchez could see that Trennick was unconscious and breathing very shallowly. The Andorian's normally blue face had turned a dark green due to a lack of oxygen. Sanchez realized that one of the air supply hoses on Trennick's suit was no longer attached to her air recycler and was floating limply behind her. The end of the hose was ragged, as if it had been torn out of the air recycler by an unseen hand. The fail-safes in the recycling unit had sealed it off from the vacuum of space, but not before Trennick had lost almost all of the air in her suit during that one explosive moment. "We can't wait for Ben to get here," Sanchez said to Geordi. "We have to get some air to Trennick right away. How much do you have?" "I've got just over half my reserves left, sir." "That's more than me. Turn around and let me at your air recycler. I'm going to buddy you two up." Geordi blipped his thrusters rapidly on and off, spinning himself around so Sanchez could reach the emergency module at the base of the younger cadet's air recycling unit. He thumbed a red triangular switch, and a small access door popped open. This exposed a control panel, into which was inset a shiny gold nozzle about the size of Sanchez's thumb. Sanchez reached in carefully and drew out the nozzle, extending 2 meters of long, thin hose. He jammed the nozzle into the emergency port of Trennick's air recycling unit, and Geordi's unit automatically began feeding welcome air to Trennick. She would share Geordi's air until they could all get back aboard Ben. Sanchez and Geordi watched as Trennick's color began changing back to blue. After a moment, her eyes fluttered open. They could see that Trennick was trying to say something, but her communicator was out. Geordi held up a hand and gestured. "Everything's all right. Stay calm." A few seconds later, Benjamin Franklin loomed up and glided to a halt right beside them. The outer airlock door to Deck 5 opened. With the still groggy Trennick braced between them, Geordi and Sanchez hit their thrusters and headed toward the hatch.